Well, thanks for bringing your movie to the wrap. On the surface, this seems like this could be a pretty daunting topic to explore. So, I mean, for you as a filmmaker, what were the keys to not only making it understandable to the audience, but making it entertaining as a movie?
Well, the first thing I think was for us to realize early on that we had to do that. We had to do those two things. So from the very beginning, I and we were absolutely determined to keep economic and financial jargon out of the movie. There are a few terms that have to be defined and explained. We define and explain them. We use graphics to do that. We hope that the images are good and that people can understand those few things that we felt we had to include, but the rest were just kept out, and it's really not essential. What happened here is actually pretty simple to understand, pretty clear, and doesn't depend on all of the complicated technical stuff of finance. So that was thing number one. And thing number two is we just decided that we wanted to make this movie look cool, so we did a lot of aerial cinematography, and we licensed some good, expensive music, and we got a composer who we think is pretty good, and who we think is great, actually, Alex Evans. We just cared about that. I think that's the most important thing, is just caring.
Mm-hmm. Right. Was there anything in your research that was particularly eye-opening to you, or moments where you had your preconceptions about the topic sort of shattered?
Yes, several. This might mark me as naive, but when I started making this film, partially this was because I'd been away from financial things for quite a while. I'd spent 3 years on my previous film, which was about the occupation of Iraq. But if somebody had told me when I started making the film that 6-9 months into making the film, we and the world would discover that for the previous 4 years, Goldman Sachs and the major investment banks had been creating securities and selling them with the intent of profiting by betting against them, by betting on their failure, while selling them to clients as safe. And that this was, tens of billions of dollars of activity. I would have said, no, people in America don't do that. That's got to be illegal, and nobody would do it even if it was legal, and I was wrong on both counts. It's not illegal to do it, at least not, ipso facto, not per se illegal, and it was done on a very massive scale, and I was quite shocked when I discovered that. I was also quite shocked when I discovered how incompetent the Bush administration's response to the acute crisis was. I'd thought that whatever their ethical and professional limitations, that Henry Paulson and Ben Bernanke and Tim Geithner were people who would at least be competent, and they would know the basic facts that they had to know in order to manage, for example, the failure of Lehman Brothers, and I was wrong. They made huge mistakes, huge avoidable mistakes.
Mm-hmm. But the film certainly is a pretty devastating indictment of politicians on both sides in the government response and action in Democratic and Republican administrations. I mean, have we passed the point of no return, or are there things that can be done at this point to undo the damage?
Well, we're not past the point of no return. We still exist. We all, get up and go to work in the morning. But this is now a thoroughly bipartisan problem, and that was another thing that surprised me, was discovering how, not that it was bipartisan, that I understood pretty early on. What surprised me was the Obama administration and President Obama personally, because when he was elected after campaigning very explicitly on a platform of very substantial reform, including reform of Wall Street and reform of financial regulation. And then he appointed all these people to run economic policy and to run financial regulation who had been part of the problem. In fact, it helped create the crisis. And that was very disappointing to many people, including me. So now that he missed his opportunity to really fix this, now it's going to be a much more difficult, gradual process to bring this problem under control.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what are the odds at this point of Washington actually coming up with an effective response and way to, to fix the situation.
Well, Washington by itself, I don't think can be trusted to do that. I think that the same thing is going to happen as has happened many times before in American history, which is that the American people have to organize themselves and force their leaders to act. That's happened many times before, and it's worked extremely well. The one problem with it is that usually those kinds of movements, the civil rights movement, the environmental movement, the feminist movement, those kinds of movements take a lot of time. And so I hope, and many people hope, that we won't have to have another financial crisis a decade from now before this problem gets taken care of.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.